Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by Gerry Hamilton and CJ Vogel. Got a meaty edition of the recruiting breakdown. And Gerry, anytime we've got the recruiting breakdown here on Texas Football, it's brought to you by Mark Saunders.
Texas alum Mark Saunders. He's the only insurance agent you'll need. He can protect all your stuff. You want to have one place that protects it all? That's Mark Saunders. Give him a call. He serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. Again, he's the only insurance agent you'll need. Give him a call today, 512-218-8571. What is that everything? Your home, car, boat, motorcycle, RV, and even an ATV if you got it. That once again, with over 35 years of experience, give Texas alum Mark Saunders a call today for all your insurance needs in the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. That number is 512-218-8571.
You know, we talk about good hands, Gerry, being in good hands. A good offensive tackle, that's putting a quarterback in good hands. Upwards of 30 visitors on campus this weekend. We've talked about this being the second big unofficial visit weekend that Steve Sarkisian and his staff are hosting. And, Gerry, when you talk about prospects in 2026, it doesn't get much bigger than John Turntine.
Yeah, I mean, look, last weekend it was Felix Ojo who checked out Texas for a day and a half. This weekend it's John Turntine who's coming in with family members. That'll be a Friday, Saturday visit. It's been a while since Turntine's been on campus, actually. He wasn't at the January 20th Junior Day, but that means Kyle Flood has had the top two offensive tackle prospects in the state of Texas on campus back-to-back weekends. Obviously, both are scheduled for June official visits. John Turntine's is the 20th. Your competition there is Texas A&M in Tennessee. How big of competition is Tennessee? Actually, we'll see. I've always thought, I've been in North Carolina a few times, talked to John a number of times. I've always thought close to home would be hard to beat out at the end of the day. I really could see this coming down to Texas versus Texas A&M, but I don't want to totally discount anybody. And Tennessee is that third team right now, and he did make a trip out there earlier in the year. But big news to get John Turntine back on campus for a couple of days. And you're kind of seeing what Texas is doing right there. Look, they had Sam Roseborough earlier, in March on campus twice. Now, his mom does live in Austin now, the 4-star plus offensive lineman out of Clearwater, Florida. But so Texas, Kyle Flood's had some one-on-one time with him, with Sark. They did the same with Ojo last weekend, and now they're going to do the same with Turntine this weekend. So that's pretty good spot to be when you have the ability to have a lot of one-on-one time with these top offensive line prospects before that big wave of June official visits begins in June.
CJ, we've been waiting to see how the running back picture is going to unfold with Chad Scott taking over that position on the 40 acres. And Gerry mentioned one-on-one time. Chad Scott's going to get some one-on-one time this weekend with one of the state's best, as KJ Edwards out of Carthage.
Yeah, absolutely. As Gerry mentioned, it was Felix Ojo last week, John Turntine this week. Look, it was Xavier Crowell out of Alabama, March 29th, the weekend of the Texas Relays, and now it's going to be KJ Edwards' turn. And we know Texas is looking for another two-back class in 2026. KJ Edwards right now is the top guy on the board in the state of Texas. And it's going to remain an in-state battle for him, right? Baylor feels very comfortable. I was told that Baylor's going to go all in for KJ Edwards. They have a back in the class. They're looking to make it too. And then Texas A&M is lingering around for KJ as well. So far, only 2 official visits locked in for KJ Edwards, who will be making his trip down to Austin June 6th. He has a June 20th official visit set for Baylor. So does Texas A&M get one scheduled? They currently have a commit out of Cibolo Steel with Jonathan Hatton. We'll see. But right now, Texas getting its best crack. First face-to-face meeting with Chad Scott as well. That's going to be key in this recruitment. And we'll see what kind of inroads that they can make and what kind of relationship they can form this weekend on campus.
By the way, if Texas were to win out for KJ Edwards, that's a lot of pressure on Sark. This kid would have the Austin never losing. Like never losing games, like plays for Scott Surratt. Like, I mean, you want to talk about pressure. He's going to come in, you lose one game. He's like, what are we doing around here?
That's
Can we get it together?
The gift and the curse of playing for the Carthage Bulldogs, that powerhouse out in East Texas. Gerry, we've talked about coaches getting one-on-one time. I don't know about one-on-one time, but Mark Orfe and Kenny Baker are both going to be extremely busy this weekend. Gerry, I don't even want to name names because there's so many corners and defensive linemen that are going to be on campus this weekend.
Yeah, so this is the hidden, very important visit because obviously talked about most is offensive line, D-line. and your wide receivers, right? That's just always the case in running backs. But Samari Matthews from Huff High in Cornelius, just north of Charlotte, right by Davidson University, he's coming in with his family for his first ever unofficial visit to Texas. He's a top 100 level prospect in the country, one of the top corners in the country. That was at South Carolina last weekend. Clemson, South Carolina, Texas, FSU are your top 4. The key here is he really likes Texas. This was Mark Orfe's first offer when he got the cornerback's job at Texas. And immediately Matthews set up that June 13th through 15th official visit. Now we'll be getting on campus in the spring. So again, if you wondered how high the interest level was for Matthews, getting on campus with his family now, immediately scheduling the official visit. There's some shades of Jamie French there. I'm not saying Texas is going to get him, but a kid that I think's family really likes the idea of Texas. But again, can you pry him away from those closer to home schools, South Carolina and Clemson's going to be the question. But Samari Matthews, a hidden, not talked about enough, first an official visit to Texas this weekend. And then there's Hayward Howard, Jr., the corner out of Edna Carr in New Orleans. Edna Carr's never produced a player, by the way. Miami, Florida State, Florida, Auburn, Texas, all those schools are involved for Hayward Howard, 6'2", 170-pound long limb corner. This was a Terry Joseph offer in late January before he exited for the New Orleans Saints. So we'll see if Mark Orfe makes that push at Texas. Because obviously you have Samari Matthews, you have Camden Hamill, the corner out of Arizona, which, I think their Texas is trying to get him on campus soon. Then there's the corner in Calabasas California, I should say, that reclassified from 27 to 26. The Texas is trying to get on campus as well. But those two corners are those are hidden visits. They're not talked about probably enough. But Mark Orfe's first class of corners is something we're watching here as well. And then on the defensive line, Damari Simeon from St. Augustine High in Richland, New Jersey, I think is one of the best in the country. Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, Penn State, A&M, Auburn, all over him. This will be his first visit to Texas, as will be Corey Wells, the over-the-ball 6'5", 290-pound defensive lineman from Petal, Mississippi, will be coming in as well. And then James Johnson, who I think is a long shot for Texas, out of Miami Northwestern. He played at North Fort Myers last year. I think Texas is a long shot here, but if you get him on campus, you see what happens. He's 6'2", 285, and a stud defensive tackle, one of the best in the country as well. He's got everybody after him, Georgia, Miami, Florida, you name it. Those official visits are set. Texas doesn't currently have an official visit for him. We'll see if this visit this weekend can get him to that point. Obviously, with Damari Simeon, that will be the same. I think Texas will want to set up an official visit after this weekend. Corey Wells has Mississippi State scheduled for sure right now. That's June 20th. I think that's the main competition. And we'll see if Texas thinks that's a good fit after getting him on campus for the first time.
Hey, Gerry, if I can add to this time of the spring in which Texas is bringing in a lot of kids for unofficials. Remember, it was around this time last year. It was April 6th when Texas brought in KJ Lacey, Ricky Stewart, Jamie French, Khalid Clockett, Jonah Williams, Cade Phillips. That really set up all of that momentum for the summer. These visits, you mentioned some of them are hidden in terms of Samari Matthews and some of these defensive linemen. We'll see who else sneaks on campus for visit as well. Because that, again, kind of catapulted Texas in 2025. This visit at this point last cycle to a number one class run. Let's see what happens this year.
No doubt. Great. It's a great point. And you may have the exact dates. I've forgotten. I'm too old. But Josiah Sherman, Myron Charles came into town in the spring as well for the first time. And then Texas followed through and got them on those official visits. So that's why we kind of say hidden visits for me sometimes, because they're not talked about a lot, but I think they're extremely important because Texas is measuring which guys are really good fits right now. And you don't know that. You know the tape is good on all these guys, but then you want those guys to come to campus with their family, sit down with Sark and the staff, and really say, okay, yep, guys, this is a good fit for us. Family says, yep, we like it here at Texas. We want to come back for an official visit. And that's when things really move forward with Steve Sarkisian.
Things starting to move in the class of 2026. It's never too early to talk about 2027. In fact, Texas had an in-state visitor on campus on Tuesday, Jacoby Dixon, the running back out of Brenham. CJ, what else is Texas trying to get done, at least in terms of unofficial visitors this weekend in the class of 2027?
Yeah, well, it starts at the quarterback position with Peyton Houston coming back to campus. He was down in Austin for the Elite 11 earlier in March. Of course, the quarterback out of Shreveport, Evangel Christian in Louisiana, a heck of a prospect. Texas is certainly in on him. And right now, another visit to the city of Austin for Houston is going to be key here. I know that he and Diabell were kind of chopping it up at the Elite 11. I got to speak with him. He said, yeah, look, every Wednesday – I got a call with AJ Milwee, and I better not miss it. So Texas is in on him. And then another new name, I'll add this, is Elijah Kimball out of Canisius, New York. He was on campus in late March as well, and now we'll be making another return visit to Texas for another face-to-face meeting with Chad Scott. And then one other name that Texas fans should be a little bit familiarized, Jeff. We saw him at the Longhorn City Limits, but that's Waxahachie defensive back Jaquan Snell, who, again, if there's a prototype, if there's a Jelani McDonald 2.0 in my eyes with the versatility and just the athleticism and frame, that's Jaquan Snell, who at Waxahachie has already turned into one of the state's more coveted 2027 prospects. He'll be making the trip back up for the second time in about 3 weeks.
He looked really impressive physically at the Texas relays. I mean, He looked really impressive walking around. Just physically where his body's going, his frame. I think he's grown a little. He's an impressive prospect in 27.
Yeah, I was going to say Jelani McDonald's starter kit was my initial impression. Gerry, one guy that we definitely don't want to forget about him. We talk about all these freshmen that are on campus right now. Nick Townsend's not on campus yet, but Gerry, he's been putting up some track times. I don't know if we're flirting with freak territory with Nick Townsend or if he's already there, but at his size, he's putting up some ridiculous track times.
I'll tell you, Nick Townsend's going to turn down his Waze NIL opportunity because he's faster getting there on his feet. I mean, he's fat. Hey, look, he went 21.62 fully automatic time in the 200 meters at that district meet. Got second to obviously a teammate that signed with USC, but that time is unbelievable at 230 pounds. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I wanted to reiterate, and let's talk about this because there's a lot of the guys on campus are getting the most of the run right now. But I've said this before, and I want you guys' thoughts on this real quick. Is this going to be the best athlete you've ever seen at tight end at Texas? Because and that's not something to just throw out there. Jermichael Finley was tremendous, Jeff. Mm-hmm. But Texas hasn't had a guy with this type of pure speed that at this size coming out of high school that also has physicality to go with it. If he goes 21.4, if he can put a 21.4 on the board at the region meet, he's going to state in the 200 meters more than likely at 230 pounds. Texas recruited a lot of really good tight ends, guys. They hadn't recruited an athlete like this.
Yeah. As I'm thinking about it, you mentioned Jermichael Finley. I mean, David Thomas was a better athlete than people probably remember coming out of Wolford Friendship, but not like this. Gerry, maybe DJ Grant before the knee injury, but again, not this type of track speed. Yeah, I mean, he's a rare cat for that position. And I mean, you could talk about Jatavian Sanders too, but again, not this kind of verified speed. The verified speed is what makes Nick Townsend so unique.
And then you turn the tape on and you say, oh, you got helmets, you got balls flying all over the place. There's not going to be that growing pains that Texas went through with Jatavian Sanders. Say, hey, you're going to have to go block an edge. You're going to have to meet a defensive tackle every now and then. With Townsend, it's almost something that's coordinated already in his brain to say, yeah, I'll just go hit anything in front of me. And at that speed, force, I don't know, I'm not good at science, but what is it? Force times acceleration equals whatever the thing, what are they saying? That's a lot of Nick Townsend, right? So it's going to come very quickly in terms of the growth to the physical side of college football.
And I want to say this, early in the season, he caught a swing pass against Port Arthur Memorial, and he went 80 yards for a touchdown on a swing pass against Memorial. And those that aren't familiar with Port Arthur Memorial, that's Tank King, the linebacker official visit to Texas, the corner Brock King, who Texas brought up on junior day. There's two safeties that are D1 players, the other corner opposite the D1 player. None of them got a hand on the guy. I mean, he literally caught a ball in the flat and turned it up the field and went 80 yards for a touchdown against Port Arthur Memorial. who is no slouch and is fast on defense. So that guy's got real speed at 230, difference maker speed.
Gerry, in terms of being a difference maker that was probably ready to come in and play tight end, maybe Bo Scaife before his knee injury.
That would be the one, right?
Yeah.
That would be the one. But, we never saw Bo with before knee injuries on the 40 acres.
Yeah.
But before the knee injuries, he would be the one. Jeff, I totally agree.
And, as many knee problems as he had, he was still a guy that played a long time in the league, was good enough to get a franchise tag at one point with the Titans. So an outstanding prospect Bo Scaife was back in the day. Gerry, before we've got one more actually hoops tidbit to talk about, but before we do that, Gerry, one more time, tell everybody about Mark Saunders.
Yeah, give old Mark Saunders a call, Texas alum Mark Saunders. And when it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? Here's some great news on Texas football fans. Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders serves the Austin and Round Rock area, the entire state of Texas. He's the only insurance agent you'll need, as dozens of OTF members have found out over the last couple of years. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. If you got one of those, call Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders' office today at 512-218-8571. Who do you trust in situations like this? Somebody with over 35 years of experience, and it's a Texas alum. That's Mark Saunders. Give him a call today, 512-218-8571.
Gerry, like I said, we'll finish it off with a quick hoops tidbit. We know Sean Miller and the staff have been working the transfer portal, but now that they're getting settled in a little bit, transfer portal window's closing, at least for this point in time. They're able to do some high school recruiting, and at least for the next recruiting class, at least getting their board reset.
Yeah, no doubt. They called 5 guys of note yesterday and reoffered 5 guys. And Austin Gooseby and Bo Ogden at the top of the list. Yep, familiar names, right? Austin Gooseby, younger brother of Trevor Gooseby, starting left tackle at Texas. Bo Ogden, the son of Texas GM Chris Ogden, who obviously played at Texas on the Final Four team, coached at Texas, played for Rick Barnes, and coached under Barnes at Texas before moving on to other stops. Now the GM of the Texas Longhorns. But Austin Gooseby, he's elevated himself to be one of the top prospects in the country in this 26 class. I think he's going to end up a top 25 level guy in the McDonald's All-American. He's grown to almost 6'6". He's a combo guard. He can shoot it. He's super skilled. And then Bo Ogden, 6'5 and a half, 6'6", guard wing, who can really shoot it, athletic, makes great basketball plays. He actually made an official visit to Purdue earlier in the season, and Purdue and Tennessee and Texas are the main 3 and have been for a while there for Bo Ogden. But Sean Miller had calls with a number of guys, Dakari Spirit, the quality, Davion Atkins at Faith Family in Dallas, the 6'8" power forward, and Billy White, the 6'7", 6'8" combo forward who can really shoot it out of Veterans Memorial in Corpus Christi. Those are the 5 guys that Sean Miller talked to on the phone yesterday and reoffered. And what I was told from the people from a source in the Gooseby family, he commented, Michael Gooseby actually was on Coffee and Football this morning talking about it, was how impressed they were with Sean Miller's, the phone call, the presentation over the phone, the vision for the program, the culture he wants to instill at Texas, and the player development. And player development is always number 1 in basketball recruiting. Always, always, always. If you talk to TJ Ford about the guys that he has coming up in his program, if you talk to all these kids, everybody always mentions player development first and foremost in basketball recruiting. But I think Texas is in a good spot with Austin Gooseby and Bo Ogden early on. Doesn't mean you're going to get them, but they're in a good spot. And the crazy thing, sometimes the timing just works out for coaches. Imagine coming into Texas, and you got to recruit your state better. And two of the top guys in the state are Trevor Gooseby's brother, who happens to be a top 35 prospect in the country, maybe a McDonald's All-American, and Bo Ogden, a top 60 prospect in the country, the son of Chris Ogden. That's a pretty good place to be. Oh, and they're both tremendous shooters. So it can't work out better for Sean Miller out of the gate here. Now you got to go get these guys, and they're going to be recruiting top guys nationally too at Texas under Sean Miller. But that first foundation full class of high school players, you might not be able to pick 2 better ones than that when you're starting out.
Shooters
with size, baby.
100%. All right. A lot of that information, a lot of stuff Gerry didn't get to is at ontexasfootball.com. We've got football recruiting, hoops recruiting, football team stuff. All kinds of stuff is at ontexasfootball.com. It's a great time to be a member. And that promo code OTFOG gets you 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for $49.95. Again, great time to be a Longhorn fan right now. Plenty of information. We've got you covered here on the channel, and we've got you covered here. We got you covered over on the website at ontexasfootball.com. Want to thank Gerry. I want to thank CJ, and thanks everybody for tuning in to this edition of the Recruiting Breakdown. And until next time, hook 'em.